Good day, grade 11s. I am your tutor for today, and today we will be looking at the topic that says presentation and data response. Did you know that businesses are expected to present their financial statements to various stakeholders? Successful entrepreneurs continuously update their information. They also consider various factors when preparing a presentation before presenting it. So one thing that you need to know is that as an entrepreneur, as a business, there will be a time whereby you need to present business information to various stakeholders. So in order for you to do a very good presentation, you need to consider certain aspects that you must put into consideration before you present and even after the presentation has taken place. So be ready. Let us look at the lesson objectives. By the end of the lesson, you will be able to explain the factors that the presenter must consider when preparing a presentation. Discuss types of written information, for example, business reports, business plans, information, analysis, etc. And you must also be able to outline the steps in report writing. Critically analyze a business report and recommend areas for improvement. Another lesson objectives that you will be able to do at the end of the lesson is to state factors that must be considered when composing a flyer and explain how to respond to questions about work on presentations or handle feedback after a presentation in a non-aggressive and professional manner. Now let us look at the concept map. Our concept map is a lesson overview. It is exactly what is it that we will be unpacking throughout this lesson. Firstly, we'll look at the factors to consider when preparing for a presentation, followed by the types of written information, followed by the steps in report writing, and lastly, we'll look at responding to questions in a non-aggressive manner. Let us look at the pre-knowledge. Pre-knowledge has to do with what you should be knowing by now before we start the lesson. You must know the factors that must be considered when designing a presentation. We're moving on to the pre-knowledge practice. Now we are taking your pre-knowledge into practice. List the factors that must be considered when designing a presentation. Start with the text and heading. So obviously when you start to prepare for your presentation, your presentation must have a text and it must have a heading of what is it exactly that you are going to be presenting about. Secondly, using legible font and font size. So obviously when you draft your presentation, you need to choose the font size that is going to be visible to the people that you're going to be presenting to, and choose the size that we are able to see as the audience, that you are able to also read as the presenter. Selecting a suitable background that will not distract from the content. So obviously, as you can see, my presentation, the background is green, so you need to make sure that the background that you use is not too colorful, doesn't have too much decorations, because if it has too much decorations, then it simply means that it's going to distract the audience. They will end up focusing on the decorations instead of the presentation that you are presenting to them. Making sure there are no grammatical or spelling errors. So you need to make sure that your presentation does not have spelling errors. In order to make sure that it doesn't have the spelling errors or grammatical errors, you need to proofread. You need to send it to the editor who's going to edit it and make sure that it is error-free. Limiting the information on each slide. So you need to also make sure that the information on each slide is limited. Do not put many information on one slide, because it's going to cause a lot of confusion to the people that you are going to be presenting to, because they'll be trying to follow your presentation only to find there's a lot to read and then they start to get bored. Okay, now let's look at the new words and language that we are going to come across throughout the lesson. We have the term systematic, to do something in a planned manner. We have contrast, something being different from something else. Analytical reports, these are reports that provide data and conclusions with the inclusion of recommendations. Then we have flyer, it's a thin sheet of paper on which businesses advertise their products or services. Let us just go for a quick breather and we will be back.